Time to spill the beans. Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing The Lighthouse. So The Lighthouse was one of my most anticipated films of the year after seeing the initial trailer, and I was so excited to see this movie. It is by one of my favorite up-and-coming directors, Robert Eggers. So this film stars Willem Defoe and Robert Pattinson as two wickies, or lighthouse keepers, that are put on this desolate lighthouse island to watch over the light and maintain the lighthouse. And right off the bat, you have to address the fact that this film is filmed in black and white. It is also done in a very unconventional aspect ratio. It's done in an aspect ratio that is used in older Hollywood films, and I think that is a really, really nice touch that really immerses you into the story and takes you back to a different time period without expressingly telling you that, without spoon-feeding it to you. And that's something that I love about this film. That's something I loved about The Witch, which was done before this, is that you kind of get these ambiguous ideas. There is enough meat on the bone there. It's not totally just ambiguous and you don't have any idea what's going on. They give you this little tidbits of information as the story goes along, and these little intricate details that make the movie that much more interesting. Now, I want to avoid all spoilers on this film. I feel like it's something you should really take the time to go see yourself. It's something that I wouldn't want to be spoiling anything because there's so many interesting little twists and turns, and the performances themselves are very excellent. Willem Dafoe in particular just crushes it in this movie. He gives some incredible monologues playing this grizzled old seafaring character that's kind of, you don't know if he's telling the truth, if he's lying, you don't know what's going on with him, and him embodying this just zany, over-the-top person. He totally falls into the role. You forget that you're even watching two actors. It feels like you're watching something that you're not supposed to have privy to, something you're just into this intricate life of these two men that are losing their minds on this island, trying to watch after this lighthouse. I love that. It feels so personal. It reminds me almost of a movie that I absolutely love, A Ghost Story, which is also filmed in a different aspect ratio. You feel like you're just a passive observer. You're not even having a linear storyline. You're seeing a course of events and watching these things unravel in front of you. Even saying how great that Willem Dafoe is as his character, Robert Pattinson holds his own on the other end of this film. Having this power dynamic back and forth between the young man, the person that's learning from this very grizzled old veteran, and having this sea lore built into it, he's trying to integrate himself into this lifestyle. I like that back and forth. I like you have him reaching for and wanting the power from the other one holding him back. And just that struggle back and forth and seeing that, flipped on its head multiple times throughout the film, I think that storyline balances out perfectly. There's a lot of references to mythology, but mostly Greek in many ways, and there's also some really great monologues that involve some mythological terms as well. Robert Pattinson's character is almost a Prometheus of sort. There's also a very, very obvious visual nod to that towards the end of the film. But having those different overarching ideas going on in this very simple story, on its face, the story is incredibly simple. Two men go to a lighthouse island. They're there to, maintain the lighthouse over a course of time. Things get a little crazy. They stay a little longer than they expect. And then just having that simple bare bones story have these incredible layers of just performance and just dialogue. It never stops hitting you. For a movie like this, I feel like I was worried. I was worried that it might be a little boring. It might feel a little long. It's not an incredibly long film, but having this black and white movie taking place on an island with basically just two people, I didn't know how it would work out, but I was enthralled the whole time, and it keeps throwing curves left and right. Like I said about this movie not spoon-feeding you any information, I love their use of foreshadowing, their use of symbolism in this movie. There is certain moments where Robert Pattinson's character might see something or think he sees something, and that might come full circle towards the end of the film. And I love that. I love that. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what this means. And by the end, I'm like, oh, that's what he was seeing. That's what he was imagining or feeling in those moments. This movie also captures very visceral feelings and urges and emotions that people may feel when they're isolated or have their backs up against their wall. You have this tension. In a way, there's a certain tension between these two characters. I won't dive too much into it, but there's a moment where they explore that a little bit. There's a lot of sexuality to this movie, which I wasn't expecting going into it, and the temptations and the urges of that. Just having these two characters go through this whole, emotional and mental journey over the course of weeks. You're there with them, and the movie does a great job of pulling you in and making you feel totally in there with these characters. The island and the lighthouse itself take on its own character and its own beast of what it is. There's also some sexual symbolism to the lighthouse you see at times, and just the idea of this island capturing them and keeping them there, and them treasuring the light itself. The light is like an almighty thing that they want to bring down and keep and capture, and just all that, just this trying to get to the top of the mountain amidst the gods, the Olympus here, and you have Robert Pattinson's character in the dirt and the mud, and just that power dynamic, like I said, plays out masterfully throughout the whole film. The score also is very well done in this movie. It's something I thought was really well done in The Witch. It has a very nautical feel to it, which is interesting. I didn't think about it till I was watching as it went on. You have almost like a siren's call playing when you have the sirens coming in and out. You have a whale sound, almost like a whale call sound to it. These very long, drawn out, brassy sounds. It really captures this desolate, nautical, dark, stormy feeling of the movie. And it creates another element, like I said, that just immerses you into this story. I never thought that a black and white movie about lighthouse keepers in a weird aspect ratio would be one of my favorite films of the year, but these performances and the writing and the direction and just the art style of this movie feel so fresh and original, yet so familiar, harkening back to early Hollywood. And I think it's a little more accessible than people might think when you go in to watch it. It does have a little bit of humor to it, some dark humor that people would get some laughs out of. My theater was mostly empty for the most part, but people seem to really resonate with the comedy of the film, which I thought maybe people would just think this is just weird, offbeat stuff. But I think it's a little more accessible than people might think. So all in all, I thought it was an excellent movie. I hope that it gets some nomination. I hope that Robert Eggers gets some nomination. I really think there is no way that Willem Defoe cannot get nominated again for this movie. He was excellent in The Florida Project. He's been excellent in so many movies, especially for A24. I can't wait to see how this movie is received if it gets more of a wider audience and a wider release. So if I were to rate this movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think, like I said, it's very well made, very well directed. The shooting style and the just production design of everything about it makes it all work. It all works in harmony, making just your dismal yet funny and poignant ideas. Just everything about it worked really well for me. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and let me know how you felt about The Lighthouse. Did you think that it was just as good as I did? Maybe you thought it was just a little too weird. Maybe you thought it just totally missed the mark. It feels like one of those movies that could be a little divisive. I think if someone stumbled upon it on Amazon Prime and late night and they just checked it out thinking it was going to be something else or a horror movie, I would hate to people think this is like your standard horror movie, because it's not at all. But if you're someone who likes these kind of movies, let me know what you think. If you're someone who hates these kind of movies, let me know what you think. Love to see those comments down below. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. What?